Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Today we are talking about the D&D situation. At this point, you've probably seen about 12 videos about the subject. I want to offer a different take, and that's the only reason I'm doing this. Seeing so many videos come out at this point, I almost wish that I hadn't said I was going to do this, but hopefully we can offer. I think I have some information that'll be new to a lot of the casual, people there that aren't on YouTube out there. Honestly, some of it may be new, even if you've been on YouTube for a little bit or you're starting to get into it. I know that I only have 1,000 subs on this one. I've got not a ton. I've got about 7,000 on the digital channel. Different channel where I cover digital gaming. So I've been doing this for a handful of years now, and I've learned a few things that I want to kind of pass on. That is, I think, common knowledge to those who are in the YouTube space, but it's probably very new. You may have no idea if you're not. So with that, we'll get into it. A quick note here about my title for this video. When I'm doing, part of the whole reason I am doing live streams, guys, is so that I can talk to you guys and I can be in front of a camera a little bit more often, interact with you guys. Doing reviews, which I just have a huge backlog right now, so I can't really, in good conscience, do much else right now besides those reviews. I need to really be working on them so I can get through all of them, and then hopefully we'll have a break and I'll be able to keep up with things. But those take so long because I play everything and I usually play it multiple times. Always play it multiple times, actually. It's just a question of how many times and what have you. And if I feel like if I learned something that I wasn't expecting and I feel like I want to test something else out, I do it again. I just try to be as thorough as I can with those reviews because I think they're really important to the people who are creating them. And the reason I do those reviews is because I want people to know that there's great games out there. And so, that's just going to be the way it is for the next, 6 months, hopefully. I kind of already hope to be through a lot of the backlog by now, and I'm getting there, but still a ways to go. So anyways, just as an FYI. And the other thing is I'm incredibly slow with them, and that'll get a lot faster with time. I've seen this, time and time again with stuff on YouTube. Anyways, today we are going to be talking about what all is going on with the YouTube situation. If you guys have any questions, comments, anything you want to talk about too, I've got, a rough list of some topics and some things that I, always prepare a bit for these live streams. Try not to prepare too much because the whole point is to save a bit of time for those reviews and what have you, but still be able to chat with you guys. But, drop it in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking if you want to talk about something, and maybe we can get to it. The other thing is, if you're a YouTuber and you're watching at any point in this, you want to get in the comments or even jump in and talk with me in Discord, or maybe you're in the industry or something, someone who's professionally in the industry and would like to chat, let me know. I'd be happy to pull you into Discord and we could chat. All right. With that, where should we start? The title and thumbnail. As I mentioned, I started to say this and then I went on a tangent. It says blaming the audience. I just want to make it very clear that this was not anything intentional. I make these thumbnails and everything. I give myself a very short period of time. And it's like, all right, I got to come up with something. Got to do it now. And I think it maybe sounds like I'm saying that the folks that are leaving YouTube are blaming their audience. That is not at all the case. That is not at all that wasn't my intention, although I realize now that it might have sounded like that. Wasn't trying to be clickbaity. It's just a mistake. So my bad, I suppose. And again, not at all. I haven't seen or heard anything like that. However, I have seen, and it's part of what I wanted to talk about, some YouTubers that are continuing to be on YouTube that kind of have in the past and kind of seem to continue to somewhat blame the audience for people not watching their videos. And that's actually the thing that I wanted to give a different take on. And realize when I say that, again, guys, I'm going to have to give some disclaimers. I just want to make sure that anybody new tuning in understands where I'm coming from, and also to set the tone for the channel, okay? I don't cover stuff I don't like, because life's too short. There's plenty of other stuff that I do like that I can cover, and I'm not going to talk about another creator that I don't like. I would rather, let things die in silence if they are bad or whatever. Or if I don't like them, doesn't mean somebody else doesn't. There might not be a problem. So if I'm talking about a creator, typically, it's because I like them and I watch their stuff. That's the entire reason that that I'm talking about them, that I know that they even exist and that there's stuff going on and what have you. So yeah, just realize that. So, hey, Lyriel, thanks for dropping in and saying hello. And I know Nani, you're here. Nani became a channel member. Nani, what is going on? That's crazy. Not. I know Nani from Digital Games, and she's joined over, and we're getting her into tabletops. We actually have to get a game going with Nani and get her GMing. I think should be amazing. Anyways, yeah. So the thing that I have been seeing with certain creators is this kind of blaming your audience thing for not watching non DnD content. And since I have another channel, and actually maybe I should just pull that up and we can talk about it. Here we go. Here we go, Night Horror Gaming. This is me. And actually, let me swap here so you guys can see this maybe a little bit better. There we go. Yeah, that's good. So this is my other channel, guys, and you can see that I cover a lot of stuff on Elder Scrolls Online, aka ESO, and I've got all kinds of videos here. Now, the moment and the day that I started covering other kinds of content with this channel, after spending several years only covering the Elder Scrolls Online, and I chose Night Horror Gaming and not like something related to the Elder Scrolls Online because I knew I wanted to cover other games eventually. And I looked and I looked and I searched for information about like, should I start off covering a myriad of topics or games rather, in this particular case, or should I just do one? And man, there are so many people out there on YouTube and on the internet who just want to sell you something and want to tell you that they have this all figured out and what have you. And it's basically like, they're scams is what it comes down to, right? They're getting money from people by pretending to be an expert on something they are not. And the best advice I could find, a lot of advice out there, and there is some good advice out there as well. You just have to really sift through it. I mean, you really got to sift through it. But there is some genuinely good advice. Was start narrow and then go wide. That is not true in my experience, and I think there are several reasons for that. But as soon as I have some great videos. So these are all for Elder Scrolls Online. I did a video on an upcoming game, Dune Awakening, which is going to be Mother Clucker. What's going on? Oh, that's funny. This is Mother Clucker, another friend from Homebrew or from Night Horror Gaming. What's going on? Mother Clucker also always trolls me, and that's just our relationship. So don't think that she's being mean. Mother Clucker, it's great to see you. I'm glad that your ears are bleeding. So as soon as I did a great video where I was at a convention and I got to get press access to a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I got to see some footage and everything else, and I compiled honestly what I think is a very great video. Obviously, they could always be better, and I've put out videos that are not good, and I put a lot of great information, what have you, and I put it out to my audience, and like nobody clicked on it, and what I found out is a lot of people didn't even see it. And it turns out that was the case with a lot of videos that weren't related to the Elder Scrolls. And the way the YouTube algorithm seems to work from data that I have is that I've had people tell me that they don't even see videos that I put out, even though they have notifications turned on for my channel that are not related to the Elder Scrolls Online. Now, I've heard this from enough people that I think there is validity to it. Do I think that it could be that they could, it wasn't recommended as much, but they did get a ping about it, something? Maybe. I don't know. But there's been enough times where people have told me that, hey, I would like to see your other content. I just don't see it. And the way YouTube seems to work, and again, I have a fair amount of evidence. Obviously, it's more than a sample size of one, but it's one creator, I suppose, that YouTube will just simply not recommend videos to people that are about a different topic, even if it's from the same channel. And the reason for that could be a lot of things. I think one of them is that I think it's several reasons at least, and probably more that I don't know. But I think one of the major ones is that, we watch YouTube videos for people that we're not subscribed to. So YouTube really watches I just realized I'm like cattywampus. That YouTube, sees what we watch and it recommends videos based on that. We don't have to be subscribed. For example, actually, let me go to the home tab here. So I'm signed in as stream watching, okay? This is an account that I only use for watching videos when on stream. Okay, so I have watched a handful of videos, and there's all kinds of stuff on the screen right now that I would never click on in like 1,000 years. there is other stuff that I'm like, why the hell is this being recommended? But this is the limited data that YouTube has, so this is like what it's gonna show, right? And that's just what YouTube does. As I'm subscribed here, literally, I'm sorry, this login here is not subscribed to anything as far as I'm aware. And so these are just based on a handful of videos that I've watched or something like that. Maybe I've searched my own channel for some reason. Sometimes you want to see what the viewer is saying, what have you. But yeah, that's what you're seeing here. And that's how YouTube works, okay? That's just the way it works. The other part of that is I think that there are some safeguards in place, and again, I don't have strong evidence of this, but I think there are some safeguards in place so that you don't make a channel based on, cat videos and then try to like scam people, turn it into a scam channel where you're, selling crypto or, something else sketchy. And I think we've seen a lot of evidence for that. And so again, whenever you make content for a different niche, it to me, it felt like whenever I did this over a year ago, it felt like I was starting a new channel, and that sucked. um, it was rough. It was really rough. And the other part of it is that there's a lot of people. I actually polled my audience with this channel, and I'm just using this as an example, guys, for some data points for us. I polled my audience, and about 50% of my audience that watched videos on the Night Heart Gaming channel said that they don't watch or don't play other games other than the Elder Scrolls Online. Now, it's an MMO. Those are very time consuming. There might be reasons for that, what have you, but that's the data I got back. There's also a situation where people people end up liking you, and they're like, hey, let's see what this guy has to say. I would argue that there might be a few in chat that are saying, hey, I don't want to play other games. I don't want to know but like, I like watching you, and it's fun watching you play other games. Sure, I'll watch. And I've heard that from a lot of people. And yet the data on what I see doesn't really seem to match up with that entirely. And again, I think a lot of it is because things aren't being recommended. And that's okay. That's totally fine. It was a huge setback for me. I think that a lot of D&D YouTubers are going through this right now. And again, I don't want to claim to be an expert. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but it really seems like that is a lot of what's going on, that there are people who, start a video or a channel all about D&D, and then, the whole OGL thing happened, and they realized that, they didn't want to be making content just about D&D. They wanted to diversify and what have you, which is a good business move. Makes sense. But then, there's some amount of your audience that's just never going to switch over. They don't want to hear anything else about, something other than D&D. That's why they're watching your content. And so, they're going to downvote and not watch any of your videos. They might unsubscribe and what have you anytime you cover something else. It's just, that just is the way it is, right? Like, what are you going to blame your audience? It's okay. It's understandable. Does it suck as a creator? Yeah. Did it suck, going from making videos that would get, 30,000 views to getting, videos that didn't get 1,000? Yeah. Yeah, it sucked. It sucked. When you spend hours and hours and weeks preparing content to make it, and then you put it out and no one watches it, it sucks, or hardly anybody watches it. And, but that's kind of the business. And I just don't think that we should be blaming our audience. And some of choosing that title as well. So I recently on the other channel reacted to Timothy Kane here, where I disagree with him on something. And he's a retired developer for digital games, and he's on YouTube now. That's why he's coming up here. And I felt like he was somewhat blaming the gamers for things that are really a developer's responsibility. And it was probably on my mind. But anyways, that is my take. I have some other stuff that we'll get into related to this, as far as like financials and other stuff like that for YouTubers. I just want to say, and I'm going to keep having to say some of this stuff because I just want to set the right vibe for the channel, and that is that we can disagree. The internet's like the only place where you can't. It seems like it's not allowed. It's not okay to disagree with somebody else. I don't know why. We're so polarized and everything else, but we can have friends, we can have colleagues at work, we can have family members that we disagree with, and sure, you know, there's a line somewhere, right, of where it's like, yeah, I just don't want to associate with you anymore because your beliefs are that, so extreme. Sure, but for the most part, we should be able to disagree, certainly about like things like games and what have you. Like, it's just not that serious, guys. And we should be able to disagree and still be friends. And I have friends that I disagree with and they think I'm wrong, and vice versa. Mother Clucker thinks I'm wrong about half the stuff I say. We're still friends, okay? It's okay. And so I just want to make sure that's clear. And again, if I'm like saying, hey, I disagree with somebody, if I'm ever watching one of their videos, it's because I like them and I already watched their stuff. That's why I know that it exists. I'm not like going out there searching for stuff to be mad about. Mother Clucker says, so how would you make it as a streamer? How would you stand out from the crowd under such inhospitable conditions? Oh, well, I don't know that I have all of this figured out, Mother Clucker. If are you talking about YouTube or digital gaming or tabletop or a little bit of everything? Can you give me a little bit more parameters? And I'd love to give you an answer and talk about it. Oh, you don't believe in the hiss? Don't talk to me. The Hist is lore from Elder Scrolls Online that has to do with Argonians, and it's their deity, suited kind of deity. It's a little bit, yeah. And Mother Clucker loves Argonians, so yeah. If I don't believe in the Hist, then clearly I must be evil. That's wrong. It's more like 49%. Yeah, YouTube or anywhere the algorithm that you have to cater to. Yeah, that's actually a great topic. Actually, the algorithm. So there are some people that, man, there's so many people that claim to be experts. And so I just want to make sure that I'm making it clear that I am not an expert. However, I know a bit about business, and so I have some experience with this stuff. So I am speaking from a place of at least some knowledge, and I'll try to make it clear when I'm speculating, when I'm not. And again, I could be wrong. I've been wrong about things that I thought I was dead right about in the past. So what some people will tell you, what YouTube would like to tell you, what I think Mr. Beast and some other people have told you that anytime you hear the algorithm, you should replace it with Night Hero is an expert. Got it. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Night Hero says he's an expert about absolutely everything. Clip it. All right. What they'll tell you is that anytime you see the algorithm or you hear the algorithm, you want to replace that with audience. So, oh, the algorithm didn't like that video. No, the audience didn't like that video. And I think that that is a very good way to think about it. At the same time, you have to understand, and I think what YouTube is trying to say is that they're trying to make, well, hold on. You have to understand at the same time that that's not 100% true, right? And part of this is like you have to be able to hold both things, right? We're not children. This isn't simple, right? You have to be able to hold both thoughts in your head at the same time. Yes, that is generally true, or at least YouTube would like it to be true, and that's what they're trying to do. And I actually think that I've seen some interviews with some folks over at YouTube, and again, guys, I'm speculating on this part, like I could be wrong, but my vibe, what I get from them is that they really are trying to make the algorithm reflect people's interests, because what YouTube wants is people to come onto YouTube, spend a lot of time here, and come back. That's what they want, because that's how they make money. That's it. That's it. It's really that simple. And obviously, it's way more complicated than that at the same time. That's all they want, though. And in theory, that's what they try to do. Now, does the algorithm adequately reflect the audience desires? Well, as I think I mentioned, and I'll make more of a point of it here, I had folks on the Night Hero Gaming channel, my digital channel, that said, hey, I want to see your other videos. I am subscribed and I have notifications turned on. You released, and they found out a video weeks after it came out, and I mentioned it, and they're like, I never saw that. And then they look through and they're like, yeah, I never got a notification for that. I would have loved to watch that video. Now, is this a minority of people? Maybe, I don't know. But turns out it would seem that the algorithm is not actually adequately reflecting the audience desires. Because again, when you're on YouTube and everything, the audience tends to just, you find people you like. And as long as they don't, if I started talking about something I knew nothing about, like, I don't know, like how to make, cosplay outfits, I think it's really cool. I don't know anything about it. I shouldn't start doing videos as if I'm an expert about it, right? That would be crazy and that wouldn't make any sense. But a lot of people, Mother Clucker would love to watch me stab myself with a sewing needle or just be completely incompetent at that. And I bet she would absolutely want to watch that. I'm gonna dollars to donuts. She's gonna chime in here and say yes, absolutely, I would. Let me just adjust this real quick. And so, does the algorithm adequately or completely reflect what the audience wants? No. And the other thing is that there are, we saw this is actually fairly well documented with uh, gosh darn it, you said it before I could type it. Yeah. There's a bit of a delay. I don't know why there's so much of a delay. I might have like not got the settings right on the stream. Let me double check. No, we're at ultra low latency. It's just struggle busing a bit with with the delay. You know what? Lost my train of thought. I distracted myself. Um, so that's what I'm old and slow. It happens. We all are eventually, right? I'm getting there. uh, but you would like to think that that's how the algorithm works. That it adequately crippling age of 31. Yeah. I've got about a decade on that. Um, we'd like to think that the algorithm adequately reflects that. There's been a lot of stuff recently with the whole TikTok thing, and I haven't really used TikTok, and I'm not hip to the jive on what's going on over there. But there has been a decent amount of documentation historically, and I mean like a year or 2 years ago, about TikTok and their heating tool, and there are many other platforms that have things like this. And what they mean by a heating tool is that they can choose to promote certain content, and they have done that to either attract people that they, popular celebrities or what have you, or content creators who they want on their platform. So it's like, just make some content, and then they make sure that they get followers and views and subscribers to get them on, because that's good for their platform. There's also, and I think is underdocumented, there's also this thing where it feels like anybody can get popular, right? Just by making some random video. Well, excuse me. Well, part of that is that if you tell a bunch of children that that crave attention and that would like to be popular on the internet, if you use something like that so that they get 100,000 views on a random video that they made, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, and everybody else is going to see that. Other kids are going to see that, and they're going to want to make more content and want to be on the platform. And one of the things you have to do if you're going to be on a particular platform is you need to know about it. I'm on YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube videos to try to learn more about it and understand it. I have to do the same thing for Twitch, which I'm kind of failing at, honestly. I don't even have a Twitch on this channel. I'm just starting it on the other one because now you can dual stream. And, that's something I have to learn about and spend a lot of time. But if you do that with children, which is what they've done a lot with TikTok, but also even with adults, you get them this idea that, hey, all I got to do is make a video and I can become popular and what have you. And it works, and it creates like this FOMO and, oh, I want to do more and I want to one up. And then you have kids doing crazy stuff, right? And we've seen that. And so there's some that's unhealthy. There's also, they do it for PR, where like, oh, look at this, this person was dying with medical debt and what have you. And then, now, the American dream, we've donated enough money so they don't have to die because they don't have the money for healthcare. Gosh, it's upsetting, but it makes it seem like, oh, look how good and positive the platform is. And it's like, no, I think the people are good and positive, but the platform is getting credit for it. And many other things like that, where, you have, and I'm picking this particular platform arbitrarily, but mostly or not arbitrarily, but because there's documented cases of this. If you want to Google like heating tool and here, let me just do it real quick. Heating tool and TikTok. TikTok. I don't know. I literally don't even know how to spell it. There you go. Yeah, here you go. It's 2Ks. All right. TikTok secret heating button. So they talked about it. The person who did this interview for Forbes here was the reporter who originally broke it. This young lady right here, and
I'm that we're missing.
they actually like tried to they spied on her through TikTok to to figure out who was leaking information about what they were doing because they were upset about it. TikTok is not the only company that's done this. Uber, I think, has, or maybe one of the ride sharing platforms have done stupid, creepy stuff like that. John Oliver has also covered this. If you want to see somebody else who's done like real reporting, so there's plenty of information out there about it, which is why I'm picking it. So you would like to believe that the algorithm is just what people think. Here's the thing. Again, if we come back to there are external circumstances with most of that, why content was being, pushed. It's one of the issues with, the whole like letting children go viral and picking it. What they found is that individual people were going in and could like you could pump up somebody's numbers, and it kind of created this FOMO and this, oh, anybody can get, you don't make any money. You don't make any money. There's a lot of people with a ton of followers on TikTok. It's really hard to turn it into monetization, but you can make a lot of money. And that gets more people wanting to make more content. And if you have 100 people trying to make crazy, insane content and they're children, one or two of them will make a pretty crazy video that's good. Maybe a couple of them will even have, one in 1,000 or 10,000 will have a knack for it or have some sort of idea of how to do it. And they will learn along the way, and they'll be able to keep creating content, grows your platform, right? This is an external reason why TikTok or any platform might want to do things like that. So we do have to be aware of those. At the same time, I think that YouTube, for the most part, does a decent job. I also love and welcome the criticism for how YouTube does it and the algorithm does it because I want it to be better because that's better for me. So absolutely, I don't want to like squash any criticism of any of this stuff. Like, yeah, keep it coming. Yeah, let's criticize it and get them to make it. I would love for it to be transparent. To some degree, there's a problem with that because people will try to game the system just like you have with algorithms, like search algorithms and what have you. But I think by and large, if you make really good, entertaining content, people will watch your videos. Okay, that's what happens. That's what YouTube wants, and that's just the way it is. And so I think that's largely true. Now, another thing I want to talk about, kind of shifting gears here, because I think we kind of talked about that a decent amount. Let me just double check my notes. I want to talk about monetization, something that everybody who's on YouTube should probably know, maybe doesn't, is that there's a website called Social Blade. And if you go here, and I'll just do myself, and you go to Night Haro Gaming, we'll search that. We'll make sure that we got the right Night Haro Gaming. Hopefully the logo will pop up. Maybe it won't. It looks like me. This is my video. This is me. And it's got estimated monthly earnings, yearly earnings. It's got subscribers. And the reason that it has all this is because a lot of this information is public. You can go to a video and see how many views it has. You can see how many subscribers someone has. And if you capture how many subscribers they had yesterday versus how many they have today, you can do a little bit of math and you can figure out how many subscribers they've gained. And so you can see all kinds of information about my channel. You can do this for anybody, guys. A quick note here, because I think people will care, is that this I have usually found to be that usually you want to err on the high end. 106 sounds about right. Now that is purely from ad revenue. And ad revenue can vary based on, if you're doing something like finance, there's a lot of advertisers. Those are people that have money. And if someone has a bunch of money, so much that they're going to invest, like, you want to, if you have a high dollar item or if you want people to spend a bunch of money on your product, that's how you would go about, like you want to market to those people. And if you know that they're interested in finance and investment, that's another way. A lot of people that do investments are really just like salespeople that are trying to get you to give them their money. And yeah, you'll make some money on the top of it, but they'll skim a little bit off the top, and that's how they make their money. It can be oftentimes a little shady, even though it might still benefit you as an investor. But those channels will make a lot more just in ad revenue than will maybe a gaming channel or what have you. And so depending on what kind of channel you have, you'll make more in ad revenue. And we have numbers for this, guys. You can back solve for all of this. I've actually talked about this a bit before, but we can see here. Let's talk about the gaming space. Someone that I really like, a channel that I really like, is Man Shorts. And we can see what they're making and what they've been making by going back. And this is a channel that recently closed down. They did their last video, and I think I have it up somewhere. Actually didn't have the last video up. I had something that Yazik, who is the GM on that, and I think does a lot of the writing. Yeah, they did their last video, and you could see when I looked this up, I was like, this sucked, because there's five or six people, I think, making less than $600 a month right now, and it's like, oh man, I had no idea. But you can go on here and see this. Oh, the other thing I should point out is that for this revenue and stuff like that. So Nani, very very graciously, Nani is actually, I just realized this. Nani is my first channel member. So I hit 1,000 subscribers here on Homebrew Tabletop, and oh my gosh, that white is just like glaring. Can we just turn to something that's not white? There we go. Uh, channel memberships where people just say, hey, I like what you do, here's some money. And there's supposed to be like different value at different levels for those kind of memberships. That is like a huge part of the revenue, because the ad revenue can be pretty small. And so in my experience, when I was just making videos for ESO and that was all I was doing, I got about 50% maybe. I got of my revenue came from that, a little bit less, and that was like an ideal situation. I don't know what most people get. I don't know if most people get more than that or less than that, but that's why you hear YouTubers and streamers and stuff, mentioning those channel memberships and everything, because it's a massive deal. It's a huge deal. It can be half your revenue, it could be more, it could be less. I don't know what the average is or what most people get, but it's a really big deal. So thank you, Nani, for being my first subscriber. That's pretty. I love that Nani's my first subscriber. She's subscribed to my other channel, so I want to be like, don't subscribe, don't give me your money, but also it's really nice and it's really cool. So that's a huge way though that people can make money and be able to continue on channels. Nani is the best, Mother Clugger. The other thing about this is that, for me personally, just to talk about what I do, I didn't grow up with a whole lot. I grew up kind of poor. I grew up in a trailer park, and there's always somebody poor. I'm not trying to like talk about that, but for me, I don't want to gate any of my content behind a paywall by making it subscriber only. I don't mind the idea of possibly saying like, oh, subscribers get it now, non-subscribers, or I'm sorry, channel members get it in a week or two. That to me is fine. I grew up waiting for that, like we'll wait for the movie to come to the cheaper movie theater and then we'll go watch it. Sure, I don't mind that so much. But as far as like gating things and what have you, I just don't like that idea. And would it make me more money? Could I figure out ways to make more money? Absolutely. And that's actually another thing, another topic. It'll come up more later, but there's a lot of ways to make money in the world, and a lot of them aren't very they're not very ethical. They might be legal, they might not be legal, but they're not ethical regardless. And if you want to compromise on your ethics, you can make a lot more money in just about everything. I have no interest in that. I would first off, I'm fine because I have a amazing and talented wife who supports me, and the other part of that is like, even if I didn't, I'm not afraid of being poor. I grew up poor, so it's just, I would rather have my integrity and feel good about sleeping at night. Once I get a job, I'll subscribe again. I'm paycheck to paycheck, but hey, I understand with the clucker. Yeah, don't feel, please, nobody ever feel pressure. That's the whole reason that I want to provide things, because it's the people that don't have anything that need, you can't afford as much entertainment, you can't afford everything else, and so no, I totally understand. Yeah, please never feel like Like I'm not. I try to tell people this too to make it clear. Like I'm not struggling. Like I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna be fine. I am by all. While I might not be rich by, you know, um, if we just looked at all the data and everything by standards of growing up. When I remember growing up, and I'm sure many of you will relate to this, I had friends that had a house, and I went over and spent the night a couple of times at friends who had a house, like not a mobile home, like an actual house, and I just thought they were so rich, and I was so uncomfortable, so uncomfortable. I didn't want to touch anything. It was just incredibly uncomfortable. I once went over to a friend's house, and his dad was like going to buy him an action figure, and I guess they were going to also buy me one, and I didn't understand that. And then they told me to like pick out a toy, and I did not want that. I was super uncomfortable. It was a traumatic experience. Because I was just like, that's so expensive. That's so much money. Like, it's $10 or something like that. Yeah, anyways, so I totally get it. And I'm sure there are many of us that now you're like, I mean, they owned a house. They weren't really that rich, right? uh, but you don't have the same, like, we didn't go to the doctor unless somebody was like broke a bone or like, in fear of dying. That's when that's when you like go to the hospital. I'm sure many people, especially in the US, know what that's like. No, Mother Clucker supporting. That's the other thing is like watching. If you want to giving negative feedback for me personally, I love that because it helps me improve what I do, which will make more people watch videos. And if it is good and somebody's talking about something and they're like, "Oh, check out this video," then that helps. But honestly, yeah, I say that. I don't want to make people feel like they need to share my videos or like them or watch them or what have you. The best thing is to help me learn to make better videos. So if that helps, negative feedback, your hair isn't spiky enough. Duly noted. Duly noted. I'm going to go get it cut tomorrow. That's the kind of stuff that honestly, because if I make, and I think this is true on YouTube to a large degree, if I make better videos, then more people will watch it. And one of the other things I've learned when we're talking about like YouTube, where channels aren't doing well, I have seen in my own videos as they've gotten better, and I've seen in other people creators that are much better. Particularly with it, and again, I'm using the gaming channel here, guys, because I have a lot of history with this, as opposed to the homebrew tabletop channel, which I don't have as much. There are creators in this digital space that make really really high quality looking videos and very entertaining videos, and the knowledge in them is garbage. If you actually listen to them, you'll have a worse experience at the game, and their information is just totally wrong, and they don't care. This is that whole, like, if you don't care about doing the right thing, you can make a lot of money. And it's just that they make really entertaining videos. Now, this at first pissed me off. Still, like, I'm a paladin at heart. Like, I'm like, injustice, right? It doesn't even have to be me making money, but like, they shouldn't be making money. Somebody who makes better videos should, and gives people good information that actually helps them, have fun or whatever, enjoy life. That they should be doing better. But what I learned from that, and what I've learned now, is that one of the most important things, probably the most important things, your videos have to be entertaining. It doesn't matter if I have all the best information out there, which is something that I try to really do, and I do this on the homebrew tabletop here on the homebrew tabletop channel as well. Is that I try to, that's my reviews, right? My reviews, I spend a ton of time. I play, I replay, I test. I try to give a very complete analysis and review in as short a form as I can. But the most important thing is that they're entertaining. And if I can't make them entertaining, it doesn't matter how good my information is. For the most part, there are exceptions, and I can point to channels. You can point to channels where that has happened, but the channels that get really big, you have to at least do both. Yeah, and you can see this in educational channels and all kinds of stuff. And so I actually think the entertainment part of it is more important than anything else. And it's a little bit, it's been hard to learn that, and it's been hard to, hopefully I'm learning to be more entertaining and to make better, higher quality content. But I have found that as I get better, my channels seem to do better. And so there does seem to be at least a correlation here. Okay. All right, that was a lot of chatting and what have you. Let's actually jump over. Sorry, I just wanted to show everybody some of the stuff that comes up whenever YouTube is killing D&D channels. So this is someone. Yazik here is someone
Hello,
who.
Internet.
Oh, yeah, he's again. I think he's does a lot of the writing, maybe all the writing for Man Shorts, or had in the past. That channel is now closed, which was sad. Yazik also he's a white guy, but he does write hip hop, and he's actually pretty good. He's actually really good. Pretty good is not good. Not a good way of saying that. He's actually really good, and he's got some funny videos that are about D&D. And I realized in preparing for this, let me make sure I spell his name right because I didn't earlier. Yhzick. Yeah, and then D&D rap. Listen, guys, some of these videos are friggin' amazing, and the Big Bad, and it has like 76K views from 2 years ago. I have videos that have more views than that, and that's a crime. Okay, these videos are absolutely amazing. Your fails are very entertaining. Hey, I appreciate it, Motherclucker. Whatever I can. Attack of Opportunity or Rage here, 31K views. These videos, these songs are absolutely amazing. No GL, like these deserve so much so much more attention and views than they are getting, and it's a crime to me. And I think this is a situation where there are so many more people that I think would really enjoy this if they only knew. Oh, Rage got 251K, but these are really good. The other thing is some of his music is not at all D&D related. It's literally just here. Let me find. It's just really. I meant to go to his channel. Let me see. Sunlight. Oh my! I'm gonna play like a second. If he strikes me, I'm fine with it. So good.
I've found that most real people tend to live without religious or political agenda. But half of y'all are in a group I call the Great Pretenders. They don't listen, they don't get the message.
All right, it's amazing. He's got a gift for words, and it's a tragedy. This is a case of the algorithm not reflecting what I think people want, because I think there's a lot more people that would love to listen to his music, and it's pretty amazing. Having said that, he did a video after they said they were closing down Man Shorts. Hopefully, you guys know who Man Shorts is. MANN and then space Shorts, and know what they do and their videos and what have you. I just wanted to watch this and show you guys so that you also know what's going on with them.
Hello, Internet. Since we released our finale episode, I've received tons of emails and messages asking about the future of Man Shorts and Bard Advice, so I thought I'd provide an update. This last year has been really rough on us as far as income. With the algorithm changes, lots of our brand deals dried up, and we've also had some issues with delayed payments. As a result, Justin and I decided to close the business. Now, for a long time, I've been fortunate enough that this has been my full-time job, but it's just no longer paying the bills. We will be keeping the Man Shorts channel up so that you can watch all of the old episodes. That goes the same for Bard Advice, which I will unfortunately no longer be continuing either. As I mentioned, for years this channel has been my full-time job, and I am in the process of getting a new job, hopefully. But on a personal level, I'm pretty broke, and I recognize that times are tough and people are struggling all over. In the last few months, I obtained my CompTIA A+ certification, and I've been actively and aggressively searching for a job ever since. But as some of you may know, the job market is not great. In the meantime, I've decided to start a side business, which is an online store that can be found at stupidD20.com. You can also get there by going to Yazik.com. I've got some pretty cool designs for Man Shorts, as well as Bard Advice and Yazik merch. And we finally have Dumpstat hats. I also made some designs for just general D&D stuff, like these. I'm still building it out, obviously, but in the future I hope to be able to sell things like digital downloads or even CDs or DVDs of Man Shorts, Bard Advice, Yazik stuff. I've also decided to start selling verses and custom songs. So if you're interested in getting a verse or a custom song, just reach out to me via email.
Spoiler alert, I was interested in a verse or a custom song, and I've commissioned one of each. I'm incredibly excited. I was incredibly excited just because I think that he has a gift. or not a gift. I think he's worked really hard, and so he's actually really good at making music, and I would love to see him do more of it.
At yazikmusic@gmail.com. It's yazikmusic with a K on the end at gmail.com. While I'm waiting for those things to pick up, I'm hoping that there are enough generous people who will consider donating so that I could help cover this month's bills. So if you are feeling generous, please send anything you can to my PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo, all of which are Yazik. It's YAHZICK. Anything helps, and I appreciate any contribution. I've been on the struggle bus lately, but I'm hoping between the store and my music stuff, as well as my applying for jobs every day, that'll turn around soon. Thank you all again for watching and supporting over the years. It's been a really great experience. I hope that everybody has a fantastic 2025, and I look forward to the opportunities in the new year. Thanks.
Yeah, I just wanted to show everybody that. I thought it was really cool. I took him up on this, and I'm excited to see what comes out. He seems like a giant teddy bear. Yeah, he seems like a really good guy, and if you listen to some of his lyrics and his music, I think you'll find that to be the case. All right. Yeah, and then another channel, How to Be a Great GM, here has also said that they're done with their last, he's done his last video for that channel, and then he's going to be doing some other channels and what have you. And these aren't the only folks as well. There are some smaller creators and what have you. These are just kind of a couple of like larger ones. One of the things that, well, never mind. I'm not going to comment on. Yeah, never mind. I'm not going to say that. It'll be misconstrued. I don't mind. It's not that I'm like, I'll say something later and without the reference here, and I think it'll be fine, but I just don't want people to get the wrong idea. Another thing I want to look at is Dungeon Craft here did a short video, and I don't know, we're doing okay on time. I just wanted to watch it, kind of react and talk about it a little bit. Dungeon Craft is ran by a gentleman who's got a few years on me, and I think his life experience and his knowledge of business and what have you, a lot of people, I'm kind of in the middle ground there, I suppose, but there's a lot of people that are, very young, they get into YouTube and what have you, and even if they kind of learn about the business of YouTube, they haven't maybe had a lot of other jobs if they get, successful early on, and so I don't think they always have the best take or understanding of what all is going on in the market. Hey, Shot, what's going on? I've only heard of the drama. Oh no, I don't know what drama there is, man. I'm scared to ask because I kind of want to know, but I also that's it. I just want to vaguely know what it is and then move on. So feel free to tell if you want to share. One of the things with these channels and everything is that your success and everything, there's a lot of things to it. There's a lot of ways, we talked about Social Blade, and this is strictly your advertising revenue. One of the main ways that pretty much all, not all, many D&D YouTubers or tabletop YouTubers make money is by also making their own products and doing things like that. And I think that's personally a great idea, and it's one of the things that I would like to do in the future. I've got plans and I'm working on stuff in the background. You guys won't say anything about it for a long time, but just know that it's happening. And there's many different things with that as well. One of the things that I find with it's weird going from digital gaming to tabletops, because I've actually been into tabletops for longer and have more expertise in tabletop gaming, is that makes things a lot easier. I know a lot more about tabletops than I even do about digital gaming, which is probably alarming to a lot of people who know me, because that means I know a lot about games. But I love it, and I would love to be able to kind of lean into that a little bit more. I want to take a look at this video and just kind of react. Again, I'm picking someone here, just to be clear, who is I respect what he has. I'm sorry, I don't recall his name. I've never met him in person or anything like that. I don't actually know him. But I respect what Dungeon Craft has to say. I respect their point of view. I also think that anything that I disagreed or whatever, this is someone who is very much an adult and is not wouldn't be offended if I say, hey, I disagree on this or anything. And again, it's someone whose content that I like. And when I say I like, in this particular case specifically, I don't know if there's anything that I've seen from him that I'm like, I don't like that. I mean, maybe a few things. They're like, oh, I would personally do something different or whatever. But I really enjoy what he does. And that's the kind of, that's the kind of thing I want to, even if I disagree, I'm picking people that I like, right, guys? We can like people and still disagree with them.
Is the end of an era as man shorts and how to be a great GM sign off from YouTube. We're going to talk about it and the impact on the rest of the Dungeon Tube ecosphere and analyze why some of your favorite Dungeon Tubers, even the big ones, may not have all.
Oh, okay. So let's just talk about this here because we talked about content creation. So the Dungeon dudes here, right here, they have their own content that they're making. Matthew Colville has his own content that he is making. I recognize this gentleman from cons, I think. I don't know who he is or these two. I want to say that just about, does Jeannie? I don't know if Jeannie has content that she's made for YouTube or for D&D or something that she sold. Has she? I don't know if she has. I don't know if Bob has. D&D Shorts absolutely has. I'm not sure if, I want to say more than half the people on this screen have made their own content. And that's one of the ways where we talk about revenue streams, right? Where you're not making enough from ad, where like, if you got 100,000 people or even 50,000 or 30,000 that are watching your content and like you, and they like what you have to say about tabletop gaming, and then you make a product for it, they're probably going to buy it. And hopefully, it's good, right? Like it's incredible. That's another thing about YouTube that it's funny. I see this with people that are kind of haters where they're like, oh, this is Crit Crab. I was like, why is there a crab? It's Crit Crab. Oh my gosh. And Pointy Hat. Okay. These are people that don't actually appear on screen. So maybe about half actually, because I don't know if Crit Crab or Pointy Hat. I'm pretty sure Crit Crab doesn't. I don't know about Pointy Hat. Make content or make a tabletop themed content or what have you. But a lot of people do. But a lot of people that are kind of haters that they'll say like YouTube is easy or whatever. To be good at YouTube, first of all, like again, you have to be entertaining. That's the main thing, and you don't have to do everything else well. But the other skills you need are video editing. You need to be essentially, or what I'm doing right now, right? You need to be good for radio or to be able to write a script. I don't think you necessarily need both of those. You also have to be your own tech support. I mean, the number of tech issues I've had with doing all this stuff, ridiculous. The other thing is it's not cheap. It's not cheap to get a decent microphone. It's not cheap to get a decent camera, to know how to integrate all these things, to be able to do something like what I'm doing right now as a live stream. We have a room in our house that we weren't using, that is now where I record some of the videos at, and I always try to do as high quality of content as I can, and so I made a set, and I went out and bought some cheap wood and made some shelves and painted it pretty colors as cheaply as I could and what have you. So and there's a bunch of other skills too there I'm missing a lot, but then you also have to have something interesting or entertaining and knowledgeable to say. One of the things about, I just want to say this because it bugs me. My wife will tell you that I'm a paladin who thinks he's a rogue, and she doesn't always mean that in a complimentary way, just to be clear, because paladins could be quite the problem. But Jeannie D, a lot of people don't like Jeannie D because she's an attractive female who knows more about TTRPGs than they do, and that bugs the hell out of me, and that's literally why. You could not like Jeannie D for all kinds of reasons, but there are absolutely some people that's why they don't like her, and they say so on social media, and I don't like it.
All that much time left today on Dungeon Craft.
So we got an intro here, we got music, we got stuff popping up. Wait for Deathbringer.
Welcome to Dungeon Craft. I'm Professor D.
He also does a voice where there's Deathbringer, which is that miniature, is like advertising stuff. A lot of stuff going on here that you want to do. He's got a lapel mic here. Those aren't, super cheap.
DM, and this channel is about tabletop role-playing games. Deathbringer, tell them what they should do.
Like, subscribe, bell, comment, newsletter, Facebook, X, Patreon for bonus content.
So this week, both Man Shorts and How to Be a Great GM delivered their final episodes. And they did it in a very deliberate way. They said, this will be our final episode. And before we get any further, I just want to thank them for all the content that they've given us over the last few years.
I have a confession to make. I think it's Guy from How to Be a Great GM. I thought for the longest time was somebody else who has a different YouTube channel who's not great. He's not a good person. And again, it's the whole Paladin thing. I don't care if someone has the best information in the world, if they're like a kind of a terrible person. I don't want to watch their content. And and I think because of that, I avoided his content, or when I would watch it, I would watch it with like, this person's a horrible person. I don't like them. And turns out it was just somebody who looked the same. And I am kind of embarrassed about it.
Thank Man Shorts for the incredible laughs. I love that channel, especially the Florida D&D episodes. I have relatives in Florida. It is very accurate. Yazik just posted an update. He's currently looking for a full-time job, has an online store, makes custom songs. He also has a PayPal and Venmo where you could donate to pay this month's bills.
You know, there's a lot of injustice in the world, and the fact that Yazik can't make a living doing music is one of them. Not the greatest, but it is still an injustice. When you see somebody who's really talented and great at their job and you're like, man, why are you not getting paid more? Or why don't you have a more important position? When you see someone who's working in a company or what have you, I'm sure we've all been, probably most of us have been there. It's like, this is an injustice in the world. And this one is a bummer to me because I think it'd benefit other people.
Link to his video below. And Guy Sklanders over at How to Be a Great GM, he is one of the OGs, one of the first dungeon tubers. He's one of the guys that paved the way for this channel. I admire him, and I wish him the best of luck with his new YouTube channels. In Guy's video, linked below, he talks about going to the YouTube offices in London and talking to them about his channel and how he could improve his situation. And yes, YouTube does offer tutorials over the computer, on the phone, and in person. When you have a channel with a certain number of subscribers, they will actually counsel you.
There's been a lot of videos that I've seen recently, and it could just be my algorithm or whatever sending me stuff, that have been talking about, like, I feel like the biggest, most obvious title is like, you know, YouTube doesn't kill channels, you do, or something like that, or we do, or something. And that's the whole like blaming the audience thing. Not that they don't maybe have a good point, but I don't like clickbait.
And guide you as to how you can grow your channel. So he goes and sits down for a meeting, and they told him point blank, your channel is over now. We're not going to be promoting any new content. We're not going to take it off. We just won't show anyone your new stuff. Do you have an idea for a new channel? This past week, I did a video about why sometimes...
So, you know, the reasons for that is people aren't clicking, people aren't watching, people aren't coming back. That's the kind of stuff. As YouTube iterates on the algorithm to try to make it reflect people's interest and to try to get people to stay on the platform, that's what's going on. And, you know, as someone who is not as good as any of these people at YouTube, judging by the fact that I haven't been as successful on YouTube, you know, who the hell am I? But it does seem like I attribute more people not watching my videos to my videos not being good enough. And, you know, I've had friends and acquaintances even who have told me that no, like, nah, man, sometimes it's just like the YouTube, you know, I've seen other YouTubers who are like, yeah, the algorithm didn't like this video or whatever. Sure, maybe it doesn't always line up with what people want. However, I think we can also say if like I made a good enough video, if I made entertaining enough content, people would watch, and YouTube would have to recommend it because people would love it and they would share it. Sharing videos is one of the major metrics too for YouTube, because that's how you go viral and how you get more people onto the platform. It's like, oh, check out this, you know, YouTube, just like you would have people, oh, look at this TikTok, right? We've all had a friend who said that to us and showed us on their phone or what have you. That's what YouTube wants. And so, you know, this is actually kind of a little bit of a life lesson for a lot of this stuff, is that, you know, life is obviously unfair, and we could argue that the algorithm is unfair. The question is, what are you going to do about it? And, you know, asking yourself, you know, why doesn't this thing, like, why you know, we can get mad about the injustice of the world. I do very often. Um, but understanding that at some point we have to say, well, what are you going to do about it? And deciding there. For me, I think I can still make it work on YouTube, and I, generally speaking, really like the platform. And I feel like the folks over at the high end of YouTube are trying to make a good platform, and one that I generally would agree with what they do. And we kind of have to ask ourselves that, if you aren't in the best of situations, if whatever it happens to be, life's not fair. But the question, unfortunately, that we have to ask ourselves is like, well, what are we going to do about it? And, one of the things that occurred to me, I heard this somewhere, was I think someone talking about going back to school actually. And they were like, well, what am I going to go back to school and spend however many years in school and whatever? And the question that someone counseling them said, well, if you're alive in 5 years, 5 years is coming one way or the other. Would you rather be someone who went back to school and got a degree in something that is employable? That's important. And be done with it in 5 years, or would you rather be roughly in the same situation you're in now, or whatever the case may be? And I think that is and again, not that it's easy. I'm not trying to because I realize that the people that I'm talking to are maybe people like me, maybe worse, probably worse, in a worse situation, certainly than I am now. And, you just got to realize that, again, the world's not fair, and you just got to do the best you can to make the life that you want, because 5 or 10 years is coming one way or the other. Not going to lie, I thought about starting to stream, but I have no idea what to do to gain traction. I'm going to school now precisely because of that logic. Okay. That's awesome, Mother Clucker. I would be happy to talk about streaming and stuff like that. And, maybe we would probably do that over the Night Horror Gaming channel, Mother Clucker. But if you're interested, I have some friends who have hit me up, and I have passed off all the information that I have. I've learned a lot. And a lot of them were painful and very hard lessons. And so I would love to pass on everything or anything that I know to anybody else who really wants to do it. A lot of times I think people are maybe scared, or they have a lot of time or whatever. And so they're kind of like, I'm thinking about it, and they start to do it or whatever. But, and I totally understand all of that. I am always happy and willing, anybody who is interested, to pass any information that I have on to someone else, though, because I've learned a lot over time.
Sometimes my titles are a little clickbaity. And in that video, I talked about ghost channels. These are channels with hundreds of thousands of subscribers that used to get hundreds of thousands of views, but now struggle to get only 1,000 or 2,000 views. And I didn't say it at the time, but How to Be a Great GM was one of the channels I was thinking of. And it's not because Guy's content isn't great. I think it is as good as it's ever been, probably better. But the audience just isn't interested in that content anymore. Now, if you're interested in YouTube business, I'm going to be doing a seminar called How to Run a Kick-Ass YouTube Channel at PAGE, the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo.
Oh, that's
and I'm
cool.
going to be joined by Bob Worldbuilder, Ben Milton of Questing Beast, and Stephen Glicker of Roll for Combat. Deathbringer, tell them more.
This video is sponsored by the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo.
That's right, Deathbringer. It's happening January 16th to the 19th in Oaks, Pennsylvania. See me, Bob Worldbuilder, Kelsey Dion, Baron DeRopp, Brandish Gilhelm, Ben Milton, Justin Alexander, actor Ronan Wong, and industry legends Frank Menser, Jeff D., and Heidi Gygax. Get your tickets at the link below and use the code PDM for a 10% discount. So
that's
according
cool.
to Guy, the way he...
Hey, Sylvia. Well, I'm sorry you missed the first hour. Well, you're here now. It'll be available for a VOD if you want to catch up. We've been a lot of places. Glad you're here, though.
sees it...
Last thing I need is a toddler to whiff off or pull up on a live stream. Yeah, that story that I was telling you, that logic, as you said, that's the exact reason you're going back to school, Mother Clucker. The person that that was originally, the person with thinking about that was someone who was a single mom, and I have no idea what that is like. I mean, kind of, I guess I know, secondhand, I guess I know a little bit, but seems incredibly difficult. And I've even had friends that I was in school with that were in that situation, and it's one of those things that if it doesn't kill you, it will absolutely make you stronger. So hats off. That's really hard, and that's really cool.
His channel's troubles were caused by a number of factors. We had COVID and also now a number of competing channels. Let's dig deep.
A number of, I want to say something about this, and he might go somewhere else or talk about this more in a second. But one of the things that's happened with and again, this is just helping people understand a bit of the business and everything that's going on with YouTube, is that what happened, and this is general business stuff, as I sometimes jokingly say, what has happened with COVID is that everybody was stuck inside, right? And what are you going to do? And I saw this with digital games as well. And I got in late on all of this stuff because I was going to school. And so I hadn't started channels yet. But when there's a ton of people that are now looking for content, people that are playing, tabletops, playing online, board game simulator, playing digital games. And so the market grew massively. all gaming market has grown massively, and there's this huge push. And then other things that people used to do with their time, they couldn't. And so, well, what do you do? And if you're still making money, although it was hard on some people, a lot of people were still making money, and they went out and got it and bought games. 2-player board games to play with my wife or to play with my friends or family or people that I'm like sheltering with. I'm getting into online games so that I have some sort of social thing. One of the people that I met in digital gaming was someone who was, I want to say past their 60s, pretty far. I actually know how old, but I don't want to say. But they were well out of their 60s actually, but somewhere north of that, and they got into it. They were someone who had a professional job, not at all related, or someone, think like a doctor, okay? And they got into gaming, and it was like a new experience for them. It was interesting. They watched my content because they were really new to gaming, and it was educational and helpful for them. That person has gone back to what they were doing before. And that's what a lot of people have done. And this happens with various businesses where, something happens in the world that changes the way we all kind of have to live and act and everything. And so there's a huge influx of money into the tabletop space, in digital gaming and everything else, but into the tabletop space. And now that is going away, as a lot of it, as people, now some of those people will stick around, absolutely. And some of those people will come back. But, all of a sudden now you can go outside and you can go do things again, right? And so I think actually from folks that I've talked to, and if there's anybody who has more knowledge of the industry, stuff going on in the industry in this, but I've seen people that I know who have been laid off because of companies having to cut back, because it was like, oh man, everything's great, the industry's growing like insane. And then it's like, oh no, it's contracting. And that's going to happen. That's what's happening right now, is that, YouTube channels, right? Everybody's looking for a YouTube channel. How do I play D&D? What's going on? And so, there's a ton of people searching. And so they're going to click on videos. And if you didn't have the best video, you might still get a bunch of clicks. And I'm not saying anybody that is not being successful right now is not making good videos. I'm not trying to say that, but that's going to happen, right? A rising tide lifts all ships. There's also this thing in business where, if you're in a growth industry, if you're in an industry that has a lot of money and stuff in it, you cannot be that good at that business and still do really well. It is better to do a mediocre or even a bad job in a really good industry than to be, than to do an amazing job in a really bad industry with low profit margins, low growth, and what have you. That's just generally true. And I think that's what some of what is going on with YouTube. The other thing, and again, don't take that to judge these channels. That's not at all my point with saying that, because there's many other factors, but that is something that you should understand is going on as a whole in the market, where there was like this huge bout of growth and now there's some contraction. And it hopefully, a decent number of those people stay around or come back or what have you, but it is definitely going to be different. And it's not going to be as easy to make money now as it was, as it has been in the past. Also, the OGL thing, if you don't know what that is, you're lucky, I guess. And yeah, I want to say more about that, but I don't think I don't think I can without giving a wrong impression about the whole OGL thing. So yeah, that's one of the things that's going on, and you have to realize is going to happen. And there's also other external factors that I could talk about, but I won't beat a dead horse.
I'll give you my analysis. And you got to start at the beginning, and that's in 2015 with the launch of the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. I think it's a huge improvement over the 4th edition and an improvement over the 3rd edition. And it's not just a great rule set that made Dungeons and Dragons blow up. A lot of credit belongs to Matt Mercer. In 2006,
I think we've seen that a lot of the credit belongs to Critical Role. And I also think that other media, Stranger Things, and one of the lessons that I personally took away from that is that, people, it's kind of like having a YouTube channel where people are entertained by what you do and then having a product that also people like. I think that's the lesson that I took away from
he and
that.
his friends started live streaming their game, and Critical Role was born. And finally, you could see on television how to play Dungeons and Dragons, and people immediately got it. But they didn't know how to be a game master like Matt Mercer. So enter Matt Colville, with his beard and great hair and terrific voice. And he was like, "Hi, I like D&D and biology. And if you want to be a game master, I'll show you how." But there was still this thirst for information. So other YouTube channels sprang up. Nerdarchy, WebDM, Taking 20, and How to Be a Great GM. And if you haven't noticed, only 2 of those channels are still functioning. One of the reasons I think How to Be a Great GM struggled in recent years is because everyone knows how to play. Or at least everyone who wants to be a game master has the resources they need that they can figure out how to do it. You got Matt Mercer and Brent.
I just want to say on this topic that part of the reason that I chose to start a YouTube channel related to tabletop gaming is because I mean, and I don't know, maybe this is the height of arrogance, I suppose, but I think I have something unique and different to offer, a perspective and information that is valuable that I haven't seen out there before. And I would propose that maybe obviously I think I'm right. I could be wrong, but I think that, some of these, some YouTubers will tell you that, hey, how'd you get big? And they'll be like, I was lucky. A lot of them will do that. Now, when you're successful and everything, and this doesn't matter about YouTube, this is just in general, everybody always wants to attribute that to their own knowledge and oh, I worked hard and I did these things and it's me. I did this. And it's really nice and refreshing to hear some people be like, yeah, I worked hard, but other people worked hard and they didn't get, so there is a part of it where, yeah, I worked hard, but also I got lucky. And just like with YouTube in general, YouTube is going to continue to get harder and harder for people to get into YouTube. And the reason for that is because the bar is going to get raised higher and higher. The quality of your work, the editing, everything about, your thumbnails and stuff like that, it's only going to get harder. It was easiest in the past, and it's only going to continue to get harder. And so I think there's also some of that. I have seen, and I'm not talking about anybody that we're going to talk about here. Dungeon Craft is going to talk about today. I wouldn't do that. That's just not something I want to do here on the channel. But I have seen creators who made content, and they've been making content for a long time, and they were successful in the past, and they continue to make the same content. I've actually watched a video with someone who said, the channel's not doing well and we're trying to figure this out and what have you, but we've been in this situation before. And you know what, maybe it's because, and the quality of the content, like the setting that they're in is really bad. Their microphone is really bad. The video is really bad. And it, like low quality. And it doesn't look good. It doesn't look like a professional YouTube video with someone with over 100,000 subscribers and that's been doing it for like a decade. And they're like, maybe it's because of these things. And I'm like, yeah, it's because of those things. Like, why hasn't your content gotten better? I want to pull up Jeannie D in here in a second. Not only is she very knowledgeable about her subject matter, everything about her videos is just very, very well done and very professional. Similarly, Bob World Builder, over time, his videos have gotten more professional. His editing is like really good. And, you got to have all those things. I mean, you don't have to. You can get lucky, and maybe you just have like so much knowledge. But at the end of the day, you got to have some of that stuff, or some number of people will just not click on your videos, or will click off as soon as they do. Whenever they hear you, and it's like, oh man, the audio is bad. Me right now, you can see my green screen behind me. Okay, it's bleeding through. It's a problem. I hate it. It kills me. It's just what I can do right now. As time moves on, I'm good. I'm in a small space, and I want to figure something out. I actually want to do these live streams in the room that I record in, but I'm on a desktop right now, so I've got to figure out that issue. So that's the kind of stuff where, like, yeah, is anybody not watching my video right now because you can see the green screen, or like my shirt is like peeking through? Probably not, but it does matter. And it does matter, especially when you get to larger and larger, more viewers, and people expect more professionalism. Mother Clucker says, I think YouTube is easier than Twitch, though, isn't it? Mother Clucker, I have no idea, to be totally honest with you. I know very little about Twitch. And so, they say discoverability. Sure. I don't know. Whenever I started on Twitch with Night Horror Gaming, that channel, I already had like 40 subscribers on Twitch, because I had created a Twitch to kind of save the name, but I had literally never streamed over there. It's just that people knew about my YouTube channel and went to find me on Twitch, subscribed, even though I was never making any streams for like years. So I guess I have a different experience. Really, I can't see anything green. Oh, it's blue. Sorry, I'm using green screen. Do you want to see it? The problem is that there should be a gap. So this is something I've learned. There should be a gap between your screen and you. The bigger the gap, the easier it is. I actually don't have problems with my professional software, but in OBS I actually do. I don't know. I could show you guys the green screen if you wanted to see, or the blue screen if you wanted to see it, just so you can see. I don't know. There we go. So you can see how it's bleeding through on the edges. But if I make it not bleed through on the edges, then you won't be. I'll be like translucent. Glad Bob went back to his roots. Old man in the woods ranting at the DnD overlords. Oh, that's funny. False information. I'm fired. Wait. What did I say? What was false? I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm fired for, Mother Clucker. I'm sorry, I don't know why the delay is so bad today.
Lee Mulligan showing you how. You got Justin Alexander's So You Want to Be a Game Master, USA Today bestseller. You got the Lazy Dungeon Master. You got countless YouTube channels and countless episodes. And
I'm using a blue screen because actually someone who watched the channel went to school for audio video stuff, and they suggested to me that using a blue screen would be better, and I think they're right. It bleeds through less.
The new official Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide is great. I think it's one of the best, if not the best, ever written. DM advice videos just don't pull in the numbers they once did. Look at this video from a number of years ago.
I'll be honest, I think D&D advice has been stagnant for a long time, and I think that a lot of people are just repeating what is common knowledge or what they've heard, and I don't feel like I feel like there is good DM advice that needs to happen, and I don't think that the highest quality is going out in general right now.
Starting a new campaign, 160,000 views.
People just do the same thing, and they have the same ideas. And I also see this, you actually see this with people that are making TTRPGs right now. Everybody and their dog decided after the OGL thing that they would go out and make a TTRPG thing. And like, I want to insert a meme of like, one does not simply, from Lord of the Rings, right? Like, one does not simply make a TTRPG. And I think I think it's great. I want to encourage everybody. I never want to discourage anybody. I would love to see, more content, more games, and what have you. The thing is that there are people that are just like, yeah, I'm just going to do this thing. People do this all the time with YouTube as well, where they're like, I'm just going to do YouTube. And it's like, I mean, great. I think you should. I'd love to help you. Anything I can give you. And then it's like, they haven't thought through anything. They're not going to think through anything. And they just think they're going to make a channel and they're going to be successful. And it's perplexing to me because it's more competitive than that. And maybe you can get lucky. I think, if you're incredibly charismatic, Like that's going to be a huge, maybe you could, but you know, I see people that aren't incredibly charismatic. They're like, I'm just going to do this thing. And it's like, yeah, you can. You absolutely can just go make a YouTube video and or a YouTube channel and you can be successful. It's going to be a ton of work. It's going to be a lot of work and you got to put in the time. You got to put in the effort. You know, that's one of the things where, you know, I'm sorry, I think I said, yes, Sylvia here. Said earlier, you know, with Bob, like his content has gotten better. He has spent time perfecting his craft to make his videos more entertaining, and that's what you got to do.
Look at that thumbnail, how primitive it is. It's not even in high definition. It's just like, here I am. And tons of people watched it. I saw it go viral. They were like, a new campaign, how do you do that? Some viewers are under the impression I don't do campaign diaries.
A lot of people, again, you know, I don't know if it's that, I'm sure it is a big part that people aren't clicking on these videos anymore, but I think a big reason that people aren't clicking on these videos anymore is because a lot of them are low quality, just to be totally honest with you. And it's like somebody who doesn't really know what they're talking about trying to make a YouTube video about a thing that they're pretending to be an expert about. So tell me if I'm wrong, guys. Tell me if you agree or disagree. That's just how I feel. Maybe I'm too harsh here, but
anymore. That's not true. I did The Lost City last year. It's one of my best. In every technical aspect, it is better than my early Caves of Carnage videos. The definition, the composition of shots, the advice I give. I have great guest stars like Baron DeRopp of Dungeon Masterpiece and Bob Worldbuilder, Trevor DeVal of Me, Myself, and I. By any metric, The Lost City is better, but it only got 80,000 views, which still isn't bad. It means I'll make another one. I already did. The Tomb of Horrors, I'll make other ones this year. But people just aren't looking for that content. The YouTube algorithm provides the content that people...
Yeah, that's a great point. And also, again, the consolidation in the market, right? There's not as many people looking for these kind of videos because they're going outside, they're touching grass now, as opposed to looking for a D&D thing. So yeah, that's the whole like rising tide lifts all boats thing.
People click on. It's all about the first hour and the engagement and the number of comments you get in that first hour. If people save the video for later, that's like telling YouTube, this video sucks, and YouTube will bury it. In the comment section of one of my previous videos, someone said something like, if you had really good content, you wouldn't need clickbait. Bullshit. Here are 4 of Guy's most recent videos. I watched them. They're
I don't think these thumbnails are great. That's not what I was going to say, but I just want to say that right now.
Excellent DM advice. And combined, they got less than 8,000 views. So the content is there, but audiences aren't tuning in. I got another...
Sorry, I just want to start... I want to stop it, not on a white screen. It's just blinding. One of the things that I have seen when talking about the whole, like, it's better to be mediocre in a really good business, that also applies to YouTube channels. So this gaming channel over here, there are only so many people that are looking for Elder Scrolls Online content on YouTube. And so whenever I make a guide, I mean, specifically, I just made, and I'm sorry for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, but this is a class. It's called a Nightblade. So when I just made this Nightblade tanking video. I made this because I made this for a friend, and also because I enjoy this game and I'm making content about stuff that I love. So there's a small segment of the community that's looking for guides on Elder Scrolls Online, and there's even a much smaller. So, you know, if you think in most content in Elder Scrolls Online, there's one tank, 2 DPS, and a healer. Or if you're in larger group content, there's 2 tanks, 2 healers, and then 8 DPS. So tanks are a minority of the people in the game, right? And it's also difficult, so there's a lot less of them even than healers, which would, in theory, you would think there would be about the same amount. It's actually much lower. And so the number of people that would even be vaguely interested in this video is a lot smaller. It is better to be a small fish in a really big pond than a big fish in a really small pond when it comes to YouTube. So making content, I mean, it's part of the reason why I wanted to do tabletop stuff. I mean, part of the main reason I wanted to do tabletop stuff is I love games. That's why I'm covering gaming. I love games of all types. And I also love board games. I love war games. War games are new to me, by the way, but I enjoy them and I like the idea. I've played some historically and I enjoyed it. It was just the cost of getting into it was like, but now there's a lot of cheaper options and I absolutely love them. So I want to do this. But at the same time, like I realize like there's some maximum on how many people are even interested in tabletop games. And I guess, you know, it would be better if I was going from a purely financial perspective or purely business perspective to make content on something that had more viewership, more potential viewership. However, you know, I, like everyone, I'm a special unicorn. I'm going to be able to make great content. I'm going to get better at it, and I'm going to be the exception to the rule. I'm going to be the much less put together Genie D. Genie D, for those who don't know, has done like cosplay and everything like that. Her sets are amazing. She just does a lot of really great quality content, and I appreciate that. But you know, I think I can, you know, and she has viewership that reflects that, and so you know, I think I can do it. You know, and the first step to being able to do anything is believing you can. So whether that's naive or what have you, I am quite confident that I can. I told my wife a long time ago that if I could get 100 subscribers, I could get 1,000. If I could get 1,000, I could get 10,000. And if I could get 10,000, I could get 100,000. And if I could get 100,000, I could get a couple 100,000, and that's making a living. And can I get more? I think so, but I would settle for making a living. And so that's really what I want out of, and what I'm aiming towards with, you know, with these YouTube channels, and also covering things that I really love and that I'm passionate about, because I don't think I can fake. I'm not that good of an actor. I can't fake things. And so I just try to be me, and I try to, you know, and I try to cover things that I really love. Where are we here? I was recommended videos from How To in the past, watch 1 to 2, and got the impression he's too high horse for me. I'm not sure who that is. I don't know that one. Sylvia?
Comment, when YouTubers use their revenue to pay for their mortgage, that's a problem. See, that's where you're wrong. My bank is the problem. YouTubers have bills to pay. To do that...
Oh, I'm sorry. How to be a great GM. I'm sorry. I didn't know what you meant there. Okay, that's interesting. Like I said, I don't know if you were here for it. I haven't watched much of his content because I thought he was somebody else. And so every time I saw him, I was like, I probably told YouTube not to recommend his channel because I thought he was somebody else who wasn't a great human being.
We have to be competitive on this platform. We have to play to that algorithm. If we don't, the channel is dead. Someone talked about, well, that's what Professor DM has to do to get subscribers. No, that's what algorithm.
Hold on,
YouTubers have bills to pay. To do that, we have to be competitive on this platform. We have to play to that algorithm. If we don't, the channel is dead. Someone talked about, well, that's what Professor DM has to do to get subscribers. No, that's what Professor DM has to do to stay alive. If you don't have compelling thumbnails, if people don't click on them as soon as they see them, the channel is going to die. It's a matter of survival. And that's why you're seeing a lot of YouTube creators pivoting. Critical Role leveraged their popularity to create their game Daggerheart, and I believe that for their next campaign, they're going to be switching over to that system. Matt Colville kickstarted Draw Steel. Other YouTubers have done their own Kickstarters. I'm going to be kickstarting Deathbringer, which recently got the adamantine bestseller on DriveThruRPG. That's like the highest level they have. So thanks to everyone who bought it. We're going to be kickstarting that. It's not going to come till 2026, but we're working on it now. And you should sign up for the Deathbringer newsletter, link below if you're interested. But I've also pivoted my content. I cover news stories. I do reviews of role-playing game products. And I still do the campaign diaries and GM advice and crafting. It's all there. But I never wanted to be pigeonholed into one thing. I realized if I want to do a weekly show, I have to have enough stuff to talk about. The reality of YouTube creation is YouTubers have a limited shelf life. It's like any other aspect of the entertainment industry. I was there in the 80s when hair bands...
I don't know if this is entirely true, having a limited shelf life. I think that you have to adapt and evolve. And that is one of the things that I think is a little bit more important, perhaps. And when that's the whole thing I was talking about earlier, where someone's like, "Oh, maybe it's because I haven't changed the set in the decade that I've been on YouTube."
Ruled, and along came Nirvana, and it was like that week, hair metal was just dead. Think about how popular Katy Perry and J-Lo were just 10 10 years ago. They had their own clothing lines. They had their own movies. Now their albums and tours are struggling. They've been replaced by younger artists, Sabrina Carpenter, Dua Lipa, Billie Eilish, and they, in turn, will also be supplanted by the next generation.
Mother Clucker, exactly that. Mother Clucker says adapting and evolving is true in all businesses, and being a streamer is a business. Exactly. That's it. You know, at some point, the reality is, I mean, that's what he's talking about, making different kinds of videos and what have you, and maybe doing different things now than you were doing before. And, you know, it's something that I obviously don't have figured out, or my content would be better, but it is something that I think is true and that I'm working on figuring out.
Musicians. That's the way entertainment works. And that's why I never criticize my fellow YouTube colleagues.
You know, there are artists though that, I mean, Metallica is still making music, right? There are exceptions to this, that there are people that are still making really high quality. Bob Dylan has been around for friggin' ever. I mean, he's like, I don't think he's making any new songs right now, but he's pretty old, but and has lived a hard life. But there are people that continue to be relevant and continue to make great quality content throughout their lives. I don't think it's a you have a shelf life thing.
Some do paid reviews.
I politely
don't.
disagree.
That's how they pay their bills. Some of them work with Wizards of the Coast and feature their stuff on D&D Beyond. I encourage them. Good for them. My channel has been very successful over the last few years. Way more successful than I or my accountant ever thought could be possible. But I've never quit my job. I'm still a high school teacher. I'm working toward a 30-year pension. I know that that pension will pay better residuals than YouTube will ever pay out because they just don't show my old content anymore. If you ever thought it would be cool to be a dungeon tuber, you should know that I work all the time. Like on Thanksgiving, I worked. Christmas, I worked. I'm taping this on New Year's Day.
So I just want to say about some of the stuff because it came up last week when we talked about reviews and stuff like that and doing paid reviews. I think this is one of those things where how do I say this? So I'm not, this is like a minor thing. I'm not hating on anybody who does paid reviews or what have you. There is a question though of, you know, if someone, this happens on YouTube, this is the thing. If someone comes to me and they're like, hey, this is some deal that we want you to advertise our thing on your channel, we'll pay you for it. Well, what is the thing? So many YouTubers fall for scams or advertise scams because they don't care or what have you. And I mean, over and over and over again. And it's because they don't have the time or the knowledge to vet those companies that are giving them money to promote their whatever product that it is. And my take for me is like, well, if I don't have the time and energy to do that, then I just am not going to recommend that product. Am I losing money? Yes. But that's how you have to figure out how your business is going to be viable. And if you have something where you're like, oh, someone says, hey, I don't have a problem doing paid reviews. That's cool. You don't have a problem with it. For me, I don't like it. I don't like it for me. And so I don't want to do that. And again, there with all of this stuff. So those are two extremes, right? Something that's like maybe in a gray area. You know, once you start doing paid reviews, it's like, well, can I trust any of your reviews? I don't know. And if you feel comfortable, then great, sure, maybe it's not a big deal. And then there's like, this is just a scam, right? And in there's a whole bunch of gray area, perhaps. The thing that you have to ask is like, again, you can make money doing the scam thing. Do you want to make money doing that? And then there's this wide gambit of area where it's like, this is clearly wrong. This is way over here. That's totally right. That's fine. And then there's a bunch of gray area in between. And you got to decide, for yourself where you want to be in that. For me, I want to be in the nobody should have a problem. Well, I don't know. Maybe some people have the problem with it. It's on the internet. But I want to be in a place where none of my audience, really... I think trust is, again, the currency that we deal in when you're doing creative work and stuff like that. And I don't ever want to spend any of that currency unless I know I'm going to get it right back. Because the thing that I've got t-shirts made, right? So that I can wear stuff on the channel. And my goal was to do some of that for both channels to where someone wanted to buy a t-shirt and they could have it and what have you. Huge logistical problem. The company I got that made them, they made one round of shirts. They didn't make them. They didn't make what I asked for. They look good, so that it's kind of fine, but they didn't make what I asked for, and then they completely ghosted me on making ones for my digital channel, which has a much larger audience right now and more people that I know would love to get a Night Horror Gaming t-shirt. And I was like, well, this is a problem. Now, there are cheap companies that will drop ship and do stuff like that. Figuring that whole thing out and figuring out how to make money off of it is just like, it's not worth my time. It would be better for me to spend that time learning how to make better YouTube videos so that I can then maybe do that in the future. But again, I could put up cheap crap to sell. I just don't want to do that because I don't want to associate. This is the whole, like, you're a brand. I don't want to associate me, my brand, what you guys know about me with things that are low quality, because I always want to try to do high quality things. And that's just how I want to run my business, basically. Jesus, that's crazy and bad business. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was crazy, Mother Clucker, and it was weird because I was like, listen, if I'm not worth your time, just tell me. I'm not going to be offended. I even tried finding someplace local so that I could support a local business and finding people that seem like decent human beings, and it was a lot of work and effort, and well, I guess I got some t-shirts out of it that are pretty cool and something I can wear on stream, but yeah.
People are off. They're relaxing. I'm working. I'll put at least 3 hours of work in on the holidays. Before the sun even rose.
So I just want to say that, this whole, like, I have to work a lot. There's plenty of people that don't do this and you can make it work. So I don't think I would say for me that, like, this is absolutely true. I work all the time. I'm very happy to do it though. I enjoy what I do. And when I don't have anything, when I'm not doing something else, I'm working. And part of it's because I want to try to grow my business and have some, I would love to be able to, there are personal things in life that, like being able to, afford having a family and stuff like that I would absolutely love. And it's a problem right now. And so that's why I work all the time, but I love it. And getting to do what you love is, there's not much better. And the fact that I can do it and that, my wife actually pays the bills so that I can is awesome. And I'm incredibly lucky because of that.
These towers for an upcoming campaign diary. I also wrote the Deathbringer newsletter, revised one of the sections of the Deathbringer rules, and I'm making this video now. And it's only 10 o'clock in the morning. This year I visited Ireland, went to Gen Con and 6 other conventions, went to Korea, visited Japan, and underwent 8 weeks of radiation treatment for cancer. And during that time, I never missed an upload. As a matter of fact, some weeks I've uploaded 2, even 3.
Man, that sounds like a great travel plan. I would love to go to 6 conventions, visit Ireland, Japan.
3 videos. I remember responding to comments at a roadside pub in Ireland. Like, my friends are all enjoying their fish and chips, and I take out my laptop and start answering the comments because one of my videos had just debuted.
I do stuff like this, and it doesn't bother me personally. I just most people don't even notice if you're just like, hey, I just got to step over here. It's hardest on the people closest to you, and you just have to figure out where to set the boundary of, like, hey, at some point put all that crap away and, like, hang out with me. But there is, like, I try to just do it where it's like, okay, I have to go do this right now. And I've done that while on vacation in Germany. I took my wife there a while back, and or rather, I guess she took me, but having to, like, hey, I have to do this thing now, is just, I don't know, I don't mind it. But I guess when you do something you really enjoy, it's not a big deal.
And the more comments and engagement you get in the first hour, that will determine how popular a video will be, how many people that YouTube sends it out to. And my friends are like, can't you just take a break for a week? And the answer is no. Hey. The biggest channels like Matt Colville or DnD can. They've got hundreds of thousands.
I don't, like, I know he thinks this is true. I don't know if this is true, to be honest with you. DnD takes January off every year to like, from uploading videos to do her business plan, is what she says. I don't know. When I said I don't know anything else about it, but I've seen that pop up before.
Of followers. Like, Matt has gone a couple of months without making a video. Then when he puts it up, it's like a big deal. Like, I'm not a personality. I'm more of an information giving guy. And if I took a couple weeks off, my channel would be dead. And I understand this. I understand the channel has a limited time. And I'll have to pivot. Maybe I'll start a new channel about teaching, call it Teacher Craft.
Ha ha! No one will watch that.
Or Retirement Craft. There's actually a lot of retirement channels, and they're way more popular than D&D stuff.
Because everybody retires at some point, so this is a bigger market. That's the thing I was talking about earlier.
But whatever I do, I realize this channel has a limited...
This is such a toxic American work culture diatribe is going on. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, Lyriel, to be totally honest with you. Yeah, thank you. Like, this isn't accurate. You don't have to do this. You can plan around it. Yeah, I would agree with Lyriel here. I'm not trying to make too strong of a point on it, but yeah, this does feel like, I worked so hard and what have you, and it's like you don't need to do this. You can plan things out. I've taken breaks and stuff like that, and you just got to do what works. You either retire from work, you retire from life. Nobody, it's like one of those little I don't know, maybe anti-inspirational things or whatever, where it's like the only people that'll remember that you worked late are your family. Like nobody else is really going to care. Like, again, for me and for YouTube, right? Like, I'm building my own business, right? And the thing is that, like, eventually, just to be very clear about this, like, I want for my security, I want financial security outside of YouTube. I don't want to stop doing YouTube, but I need to make sure that I have a revenue stream and contact with my customers in a way that is, which is you guys, in a way that is outside of YouTube, so that if YouTube changes its mind about something or folds or something, that I still have a business. And that's why I want to make TTRPG products and board games.
Shelf life. And what the last year has taught me is we're all living on borrowed time, so we need to make the most of it. But that's what I think. What do you think? Share in the...
Indeed, we are all living on borrowed time, unfortunately. Well, guys, I'm trying to see if, like, what else I was going to pull up here. I guess we looked at this stuff. You can go look up Dungeon Craft. You could go look up Homebrew Tabletop, and see on Social Blade what at least people make in ad revenue and stuff like that. Yeah, go check out Yazik if you haven't. He's got some great music, and I think we'll wrap it up here, just because, again, I have to hop over. I'm actually raid leading in a little bit, so I appreciate everybody for stopping by and getting to chat rather. Sylvia, appreciate it. Mother Clucker, it was nice seeing you. Nani, Daedric, what's up, man? This Night Hero guy is pretty cool. Daedric, heart, man. Thanks, dude. Thanks for dropping in and dropping a comment. Lyriel, thanks for always being one of my number one fans. I love what I get to do with YouTube. I love getting to. I didn't like streaming at first. I'm actually learning to like it, and it's really cool to get to hang out and talk with friends, which is really what streaming is at least for me. And so I think this time weekly we'll probably continue this going forward. One of the things about, like, that whole work culture thing and, like, having to work all the time, for my streaming schedule, because it is in the evening when I would otherwise be having family time, because I make videos during the day and do things related to making videos during the day. I do it when I can. But I think probably this time continues to, we'll continue to work moving forward, or if whatever, but I kind of want to do this weekly. I've got some friends that I've made in the industry that I think would be willing to come on and chat. I know would be willing to come on and chat with me. And I've also started to reach out to some companies. I want to start talking to companies after we've reviewed their product here on the channel to, see what they have to say about their product, and just kind of chat with them. You guys get to meet people that are developing games. The tabletop space, and this is true of digital games, so they're just more inaccessible. But the people who make the games are just huge nerds. And we like hanging out and talking to each other. We have almost everything in common. And even when stuff, like, isn't in common, like when someone they're like, "Oh, did you watch the old Babylon 5?" And you're like, yeah, it came out before I was born, but, like, yeah, I went back and watched it. It's amazing. Or even when it's like, "Oh, did you watch, the Star Trek Deep Space Nine?" And so I was like, no, it came out. No, you're old. It came out before I was born, but you're still interested in it, even if it's not something you like. And that's what's really cool about us nerds, is that, like, you're like, it might not be my thing, but I'm still kind of interested. And the fact that you like it so much and I'm kind of interested in it makes me Makes me want to get into it more. He's okay. He blinked twice if he Stockholm syndromed you. Oh man. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate everybody's watching this after the fact. Hopefully we'll have some more reviews up on the channel soon. But we'll keep doing this every week. So we'll call it here for tonight, and I'll see some of you in about 15 minutes. All right, we'll see you later.